Hi everyone, welcome back to Manda Tea and Me, and welcome back to Ark Gotta Tame 'Em All, and welcome to the West Coast! We are actually starting a brand new base by the Caverns of Lost Faith here on my map. And why? Well, as of the time of this recording, we have 18 tames left, and the vast majority of them are aquatic. So where we are located in the Oasis is an absolutely gorgeous base location, but not ideal for aquatic tames. Also, I went and broke down all of the spawn maps for all of the creatures and noticed that there are certain animals that just don't spawn in the east as well. For instance, the basil does not have a spawn area on the East Coast, so we're going to have to move or set up shop somewhere in the West anyway for the basil alone. So how many tames does that leave with us? I do believe, looking at my list here, we have 10 tames remaining here, and each one comes obviously with their own challenges. So I went ahead and broke down the remaining aquatic challenges, because we do have we have like a baryonyx, I guess, a semi-aquatic. We have a spino. We have sharks and dolphins, whatever, but we still have all the big boys. So these are in alphabetical order because that's the way they appear on my spreadsheet. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started and talk about these tames. So the first up on our list is the angler. The angler enjoys the deep sea, and they are a knockout tame, and the best food for them is regular kibble. So simple in terms of like, okay, well, it's a knockout tame, which generally are easier. However, they do spawn in locations where there are a lot of nasty other things, so that is something to also keep in mind. Also on the map, anywhere that is shaded in diagonal lines, they're untamable in caves, but we can get angler gel in those places, which we will of course need. Next up on our list, we have the Basilosaurus, which is actually one of my absolute favorite aquatic tames. They can protect you. They're passive tame, exceptional kibble, but mutton works really well for these guys too. But they can protect you from Electrophorus and the Cnidaria. Their only real thing is that they have a really awful turning radius, and they're slow, they're big, there are places they just can't go, and while taming, you do have to knock out all the mantas that swim with them. So a much less friendly creature is the Dungliothesis, which is a knockout tame, and the big thing about these guys is they're super sneaky, and they've got a lot of health. So I've definitely been ambushed by these guys in aquatic caves before, and they're not a lot of fun. So we will definitely need something hefty to knock these guys out. Probably the Trank bolts is going to be the way to go, and possibly with a buddy. So speaking of nasty things, we also have the Electrophorus. Like, why on earth are we taming this thing? It's a passive tame with biotoxin, but anyone who's ever been out in the open ocean or in an aquatic cave knows these guys are super aggressive. So I'm gonna have to see what kind of potions we can drink to help out with these guys. So we'll have to go Cnidaria hunting before we tackle these fellows, and we definitely will need to take a basil. So we will have to tame our basil probably first among all of these creatures. Okay, so a creature I've never really encountered, except from a distance, is the Liopleurodon, which has like weird crocodile jaws. It's a passive tame, and it prefers honey. It's listed that his diet, that it has a sweet tooth. So these guys seem to only aggro if you are on a mount, and I think that's highly possible, but we'll have to really be careful about clearing out an area around the Liopleurodon, because they do like to swim with some really nasty things as well. So honey is easy. I do believe it's just the environment that's going to be the problem. And now we have one of the more common aquatic creatures on the ark, and that's going to be the manta. You find them literally everywhere. Now, it lists them as a passive tame, and that's fine. Easy to find. The problem is their food. They actually prefer angler gel, so again, before we can tackle the manta, we're gonna have to go kill some angler fish, which is why I position this base close to a cave, so we have a better shot of being able to harvest a decent amount of angler gel. Again, mantas are practically on the beach, so it shouldn't be too bad. From a common animal to kind of a more elusive animal is the mosasaur. Mr. B and I have attempted to tame a mosa before. They are a knockout tame. They like the big, expensive, exceptional kibble, but these things are nasty and they seem to have a resistance to like torpor damage. So the wiki does suggest a plesiosaur for it first, which scares me a little bit, but apparently they do follow plesiosaurs, so that is something to keep in mind. A little nervous about this one. And speaking of plesiosaurs, these guys are next up on our list. I've encountered these out in the wild. I think the tough thing with these guys, they are a knockout tame. They like, superior kibble. Okay, that's not too bad. But it seems like their bite range is way wider than their dinky little heads. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, they seem to travel near where those euryptid, kind of crustacean things are, and those things can knock you out in one hit. So that's something to keep in mind. This might be a buddy tame for sure. Alright, one more look at my list. This is our 9th, not 10th, our 9th and final tame, thank goodness. But also a big baddie is the Tusoteuthis, or the giant squid. These guys are a passive tame, and of course they're bougie and they only want to nom on pearls. So very similar to taming the Desmodus. You kind of just have to let them attack you and drain your inventory. Yippee, this sounds awful. So, but onward and upward. So, aquatic tames aside, we still have a few other non-aquatic tames to consider. First of all, we have some of the big bad stuff, but then we also have some dinky stuff that I just haven't been able to tame. We have the Archaeopteryx, which is found in the redwoods. Those guys are passive. They like chitin. We need to get a queen bee. I know where there are a couple beehives. That's definitely much easier with a buddy. We have the Chalicotherium. I've been making some beer for those fellas. The Giganotosaurus, the Giga, the big guy. We've attempted to tame one before, but we really need shocking darts. But we have a Quetzal, so that should make that easier. We have the Megalosaurus, which I believe are those sleepy dinos. I haven't found one yet, which is pretty much the only reason I haven't tamed one. We have the Procoptodon Kangaroo. I know I have one in my inventory. I don't know why I have one in my inventory. I don't remember taming it, so I think Mr. B brought it back because it's super colorful. We have the Titanosaur, which is a temporary tame. Still trying to tame a damn Troodon. Those are the worst. And then we have two more snow biome tames, which are the Woolly Rhino and Eutyrannus. So not the worst, not the best. I think that the next easiest ones I want to go after might be the Procoptodon. They spawn on the side of mountains, which is great because sometimes the mountain itself can be your buddy if you're not using a trap. But mountains are also home to things like Gigas, Cha-Chas, and I do believe I have a Cha-Cha on the side of my closest mountain, so we might visit that in the next episode. I'm going to have to get rid of that. I really don't want to do a dino wipe if I don't have to, because God knows what will spawn in after that. So, and of course you have Argies and stuff, but having a buddy creature set to either neutral or, attack my, attack my attacker. That's not right. But anyway, that will, or attack my target. That should help out with this. So here we are taking a final look at this build. This took a while, and because I'm using S+, this isn't real Adobe. This is stone that has been made to look like Adobe, because trying to use the S Plus grinder to legitimately make like sand and clay just seems awful. Absolutely awful. As I was doing this final walkthrough, I did notice that I have like a weird gap on the second floor. But I do go back and fix that, and you'll see that. I put up a little sneak peek on Instagram for you guys. So I was just like, oh, I'm all done. Oh wait, no, that looks awful. So, but you know, little finishing touches. Nothing is painted. It's a very brown sort of building here. But I was really happy with the location, and I was looking for a place that was basically near every spawn location. We're near the Caves of Lost Faith, which are aquatic caves, and they have some things that can give us resources, like there are anglers there, so we can get angler gel, that kind of thing. Nothing is tameable in caves, or at least most caves, so that is something to consider. Yeah, I finally fixed this awful gap. It's just the worst. So, not a perfect build. It's definitely not like Aaron Longstaff quality, but I feel like with every build I learn something, and I do think this is one of the more kind of, I don't know, real is the right word, but I like the flow of it. I like that you move between the rooms on the first floor really cleanly, and then it kind of wraps around over the top on the second floor. So even though there's no real practical reason for it, I do like having a separate living space in my builds. I think it gives it the idea of this is a very, this is an actual usable facility, and it kind of keeps you in the game a little bit. So yeah, let's take a final look at the beach base here. I've got my canoe parked out here. We're definitely going to need one of those. I prefer them to rafts. I did kind of mix around like ramps and stairs, simply because I like the variety of texture. I always am a big fan of the Adobe look, and since we're on such a sandy beach, like, why not? I was able to get enough metal and things to actually make some of the tech items, like, not tech, but, you know, technology items, like the chem bench and the grill. I was really surprised. I just kind of loaded up Vulture, and we headed out here, and I was really happy. I'm also really happy with this water pen. It is one dino gate high at its deepest part, which is perfect for taming basils. And this little structure is something that Mr. B came up with on another map. It's not perfect, but you know, sometimes you have a tendency to float off when you're trying to get through those doors, and it's really helpful. But this should be a, oops, sorry about that. This should be a great pen for us. And yeah, so I hope next week we should be taming. So until next time, guys, take care, and happy sipping. Love you guys.